Whoa, 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 whoa. Ho, ho. What is up, whack people? Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope everything's amazing for you all, as always. I'm your host, the Honorable OCT, OctaviusHaye, and this is the WACCast podcast. So with that being said, let's talk whack to him. Alright, so NBA Youngboy said he ain't got time for Akademiks or Lil Durk today. He went ahead live and started spazzing, going off on Ak, going off on Durk. Everybody knows NBA Youngboy and Durk have had beef over the years. This all started now this time from when Akademiks said he had heard that that NBA Youngboy and Durk had squashed the beef. That was something that Ak reported. Well, Ak now admits that was false, but he wasn't lying. He thought that the report was honest, but he was willing to admit that was not right. That NBA Youngboy and Durk are actually not cool with each other. So NBA Youngboy took the time to say, we ain't cool, ain't nothing cool about this, going off on Durk, call him a nasty, all type of this, that, talking about his girl India, and then saying Akademiks just a fat drunk and talk crap about people all day. That's gonna get him caught up. And he don't care about numbers, and Akademiks talking to his industry friends, just going in. So y'all know how first of all, Akademiks has been on a tear this week, but I gotta get some more in later. But we all know how Ak can get. He get on that stream, he get that Henny in him, he don't even always need the Henny, and he starts spazzing. Well, Ak didn't go all the way in this time. Instead, he begged for people to go ahead and listen to NBA Youngboy's new album. Akademiks is of the belief that NBA Youngboy is doing all this promotion for the album that's coming out, and that he's trying to use beef and stuff to get people to come listen to the song, because his album sales have been dropping, or it dropped, I think he sold like 60,000 copies last time, and he actually sold less than Durk. And Akademiks is of the belief that NBA Youngboy wants to outsell Durk this time because they don't like each other, and he want to be, everybody look at NBA Youngboy as that artist, so he wants y'all to see I am that artist. Akademiks brought up a good point of how NBA Youngboy may have a bigger fan base, or more loyal fan base, but he doesn't know how to really, utilize that as much as what Durk might be able to do with his fan base and getting his music listened to a lot of people. I don't know anything about that, but what I do know is Akademiks' niceness can only go so far. I don't know if NBA Youngboy is going to chill out, because NBA Youngboy and Akademiks have actually been cool. I believe Youngboy was on his show at one point, his podcast. They've had a cool relationship, so I don't know if he's going to hit up Ak later, but it was all play. Or maybe they had a discussion before and Ak just not saying nothing. So that's why Ak wasn't going so hard, because that's just for this week. I believe your NBA Youngboy's album come out on Friday or something like that. So maybe once this week passes, next week he'll be like, it's all good. Of course, it's not going to be good with Durk. Him and Durk is still not fooling with each other, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And I don't know. Maybe it will, but it don't seem like it, because he's spazzing and going off. And what happened with all this stop the violence stuff from NBA Youngboy? He was all pro, life and stuff, and telling people, hey man, stop all this gun violence, let's work together. That went out the window as soon as it was time to sell some records. So yeah, there may be some validity to what Akademiks is saying. Either way, gonna stay up to date on this beef, and if anything else happens from Durk, NBA Youngboy, or Akademiks comes out and starts spazzing, of course I'm gonna be here to talk about it. But I had to discuss DJ Akademiks some more this week, because I took the title of Big Ak from Ak after he exposed himself, and his girl exposed him for being a little soft. After he'd been talking all this tough talk, but being treated like a chump in his own home by his woman. I had to you couldn't be Big Ak. I don't care about your money, it's about your mindset. And I didn't think he was holding it down to carry the big moniker. But I knew in my heart when I did that it wouldn't last long, and I would have to call Akademiks Big Ak again pretty soon, because I know one thing about Akademiks is that he don't like somebody, he don't play. He dropped the girl. I was thinking he was going to have to get into 2 or 3 more beefs. I thought he was going to have to just go off on a couple people, but no sir. Akademiks did not let us down. He got on live, on stream, Twitch, whatever he was streaming from, and he brought out one of his arch nemesis, his ex-girlfriend, that is Freddie Gibbs, his ex-girlfriend, Fit Mommy, who's also a porn star, who's also pregnant with Freddie Gibbs' baby. And what proceeded to happen was Fit Mommy just went in on Freddie Gibbs, but of course, Akademiks just leading the band as like the lead orchestra guy or whatever. And she just went in to talk about Fit Mommy was saying, oh, she thought Freddie Gibbs was this gangster dude, and he wasn't, and Freddie Gibbs was just getting beat up, and Fit Mommy was talking about she just picked a lame dude. She even talked about him bending over and showing his butthole, and she just, oh my god, it was so embarrassing. She just talked, Fit Mommy, she started going in and talking about how he wasn't paying her phone bill, and he said he would, and he had her host a show and took the money and never gave it to her. Oh, it was awful, just going in. And in the meantime, she's saying, and I gave up having sex with other men on camera for him. That wasn't fair to me. Oh, it was lovely. It was great. I can't feel too bad for Freddie Gibbs because that's what you picked, bro. You picked a porn star. You picked a woman who would sell her body for money. Didn't you think that she would sell your secrets? So you can be mad at Akademiks. You can even be mad at her. I don't feel too bad for you. I feel bad as a man just seeing, a man's woman, that's who we the most vulnerable with, and seeing her take advantage of that and just put him on blast was so humiliating. I mean, Fit Mommy, she talked about she didn't feel safe with Freddie Gibbs. He couldn't stop people from harming her and him. She talked about she got a chain snatched. He never replaced it, but he replaced his watch. Oh, it was so disrespectful. It was so disrespectful. Oh. And the whole time Akademiks just like, yeah, and you're back in porn while you're pregnant with his baby? And she's like, yep, sure am. Back doing it. I'm like, oh, man. She's back in the sack with randos while this man's baby in her uterus, and probably it's getting weird. It's getting real weird out here. And she's doing that on camera for make that money. She gotta do what she gotta do, right? She says people need to mind their business. And that's why she's talking about it on a streamer's platform, because she don't want nobody. She wants y'all to mind y'all business. Don't seem like she's in the business of minding her own or having people not mind her business. Seems like she's very much in the business of exposing her business, and I guess exposing her partner or her ex-partner's business. Freddie Gibbs, to my knowledge, of this time has not said nothing but what you really finna say. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating, and this is gonna be the mother of your child. So this is somebody you're gonna have to possibly deal with. Now, Fit Mommy's talking about he's not responding to her, and he's not in the communication. He said he don't want the baby. She said she didn't want to lose the baby. She thought the baby was much younger than what it was when she was going to go get the abortion. She decided not to. And now she says he can't communicate with her. So because he's not communicating with her in private, in her mind, that means she's got to put it out on blast for everybody to see. That's what she reasoned with. Instead of like maybe getting a lawyer or something or taking them to court, now I got to put it on social media. But whatever it is, what you do is what you do. All I know is this has brought my boy Akademiks back, and I got to salute big Akademiks. This was super grimy. This was super disrespectful. And now that man can never, ever, ever, and I don't think he cares. I know he don't. Akademiks don't care, but he can never, ever squash this beef with Freddie Gibbs. That was just too disrespectful. And if Freddie Gibbs was talking about he wanted to put his hands on Akademiks before, he definitely want to put his hands on Akademiks now. But Akademiks stayed securityed up, so he should be straight. And we'll see what happens if Freddie Gibbs does respond. There's been some other disrespect this week. If you don't know, which I don't know why you would know, Chris Brown and Usher may or may not have gotten into an altercation over the past weekend in Las Vegas. Usher threw Chris Brown a birthday party, invited a whole bunch of people, and it was supposed to have been a good time until Chris Brown allegedly punched Usher himself, or had his goons / bodyguards punch Usher and jump him. This is all alleged, but this is the rumor. Chris Brown and or his goons attacked Usher, and it's all stemmed from Chris Brown getting into an argument with Tiana Taylor, who was also at the party. Now, Chris Brown, when he was supposed to be doing the Michael Jackson tribute, I think it was for the VMAs, It's rumored that Teyana Taylor was supposed to be a part of that, but she had to pull out for another engagement she couldn't get out of. And then Chris Brown, ultimately it was decided not to have him perform. He was canceled because of what he did to Rihanna. Chris Brown had resentment towards Teyana Taylor for letting him down, and maybe even kind of believing she may have had a part in the whole performance being canceled, which was Michael Jackson tribute. And so when Chris Brown saw Teyana Taylor at the party, now also it's alleged, rumor, don't know, that Chris Brown may have been on some substances. He's been known to be rumored to have been using or to be using a lot of drugs. So I don't know. It might have been this night, and that might have led to him going off on Teyana Taylor. Teyana Taylor's like, she gonna leave the party. Usher's trying to get her to stay. Teyana Taylor's like, nah, ain't even worth it. So Chris getting into his feelings about that. Again, all allegedly. And it looks like Usher tried to go talk to Chris to calm him down, and it kind of started something. Usher may have been jumped. Now, in a little defense to this not happening, Usher did post himself, at the concert the next night. It was at the Lovers and Friends tour, I believe it was. Chris Brown still performed, and nobody looked like they had no damages on him. However, that don't mean that he wants some good makeup, or maybe the punches just weren't that hard, but he was attacked. It could have been that, just maybe the assault wasn't as bad as previously reported. We don't know. All I'm going to say is, Chris Brown's been getting a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities. We have been letting a lot slide on Chris. As much stuff that gets called out and remembered, his negativity is a lot that's not called out and remembered. And he seems to be getting in trouble every year for his violent temper and ways. And we just keep on letting him get a pass with that. Nobody ever says anything's wrong. And anytime he's ever called out on his stuff he does, he starts playing victim mode and crying about, everybody's always trying to paint me as the bad guy. Everybody's always trying to paint me as the villain. And I say this, as much love as Chris Brown and Usher have shown each other, and how much Usher has just recently even stated, I think on Big Boy Show, that he loves Chris Brown, and he threw this man a birthday party. If Chris was to do that to Usher, to anybody, but to somebody like Usher, who not only is an inspiration for him, but a talented musician himself, and is somebody who cared enough about you to throw a party, if that's how you want to act, and if, again, this is all allegedly, if that's what he did, man, screw Chris. But of course, it's not going to be screw Chris. He's a talented dude. He is. Once in a lifetime generation talent. And when you got somebody that's that talented, the amount of chances they get, shoot, unlimited, bro. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets blown over. I wouldn't be surprised if Usher still rock with Chris Brown. Like now, it was the next day of the concert and everything. I could see Usher have just letting it slide for them, just the performances to go through for the fans. And then after that, Usher's like, I'm done with Chris. But hey, man, everybody just kind of say that's Chris being Chris and slide on the rug and just try to be cool with him. I don't know. I just think that you let somebody keep getting away with that stuff, it's just going to keep on going. And it don't seem like he changed it for the better. It actually seems like he's gotten worse. He's digressed even more now. He's definitely hurt his legacy with stories like these. And again, if we find out that it's true, I've always kind of been done with Chris. I stood up for him a little bit when people was bringing up the Rihanna issue, just because I'm saying like that was that time. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a ton of other issues that you can bring up. Now, to be fair to Chris, though, Chris Brown did come out and he didn't flat out say I did not punch Usher or did not have Usher jumped. But Chris did say that he was just going off and telling people to back up because he had his child backstage with him. I think that's what he was talking about. But again, I don't know if he backstage at the concert, because everybody's talking about at his party, which was like at a skating rink. So I don't know. Maybe it was a backstage at the skating rink. I don't know. But that's all he talked about. That's all he said as far as in relation to anything happening that weekend and any type of outburst he may have had was about that. That's all he talked about. So I don't know if that's him saying that that's the only issue that weekend, or he's trying to tell us it wasn't at the skating rink, it was at the concert or whatever with that. But that's just to be fair to Chris, to let you know that. But my stance on Chris Brown is he's a piece of crap, and not just for hitting Rihanna, but just the way he's carried himself year after year since then. Begun the podcast war has, because we out here talking about furniture, we out here talking about house structure, windows, we out here talking about ad revenue, we out here talking about guests, we out here talking about who opinions matter, We talking about podcasting equipment, and we talking about paper blinds, buddy. If you don't know what I'm talking about that podcast beef between Joe Budden and Gille the Kid. The Joe Budden podcast versus $1 billion worth of game with Gille the Kid and what was his dude name? I can't even think of his cousin's name right now because it's going down so hard right now. Wallow, Gille and Wallow, they out here. Well, Gille is leading the charge for their podcast. $1 million worth of game, is bragging about how much ad revenue he get in, how good the podcast equipment is that they got, the quality that they do. Joe Budden's out here talking about Joe Budden said they selling the cheeks for cheap with that ad revenue. And don't ever and come correct when you coming at him. Matter of fact, don't even come at him at all. That's what Joe's saying. It's got a lot of people talking. Oh, who got the best guests? Well, clearly Gille and Wallow got the best guests because that's what their podcast is about, interviewing people. Oh, who's got the best opinions that people want to listen to? Oh, well, Joe, clearly, because we go to Joe Budden podcast for his opinions, and his opinions are the ones that usually trend on his show. Gille might trend more on his when he goes live and stuff, and sometimes he trends on the show, but for the most part, $1 million worth of game is about the guest. Just like sometimes Joe will have a guest on that causes a splash. It's mostly for Joe Budden get on there and his team too, but Joe Budden's opinion on things, So of course I know Joe, I've been saying, is ready to go. Joe has been beefing with so many people. He managed to skip over Gille and Wallow that first time and keep it on Charlemagne and Envy, but he had to I guess Joe had to double back. And Joe brought to everybody's attention that Gille's headboard is blocking part of his window. And to him, it's like, that seems like a small, cheap room. Don't seem like you got it like that. Of course, Gille had to talk about his ad revenue, again, like he did beforehand. And Joe's like, bro, that ad revenue ain't doing it, man. I'm getting I'm getting subscribers. I'm getting people paying Patreon, all type of stuff to see my content. And I don't have to sell, as he said, the cheeks for cheap. So this is, right now it's all fun. Right now they just bragging about their money, who make the most money. Right now it's just goofy stuff. Ain't really been nobody's name said, but everybody know who everybody's talking about. I thought that it might have gotten a little bit more serious on Gille's side, but I think Gille's just saying it's what it is. This is just some clout chasing stuff, I believe. I truly do believe that, because Joe Budden was not mad at Gille at first. Joe Budden was just, he was more mad at Charlemagne and was saying that Charlemagne was trying to start something. I don't know if they had a conversation. I don't know if this just somebody said something, other person said something, and they're both smart enough to know, okay, this is what it is. We just about to, have the blogs and everybody talking about us for a minute. Because none of the shots have been personal. All the shots have been about, oh, look how nice my stuff is. Oh, I make more money. Or my source of revenue is better than your source. It's like, ain't too bad. Ain't too offensive. Last time they was kind of getting into it. Joe was breaking down why one of the team members left pod, and Gille was talking about when Joe got punched in the face that one time. So it was getting a little bit more personal and in depth and stuff. This time it's just goofy, and it seemed like it's just for show. Joe was hyping himself up when he was talking about the window and the headboard covering half the window. It was at the beginning of the show. He was mixing and mastering. You know how Joe liked to do as the DJ. So I wouldn't read too much into it right now. However, it is entertaining, and if we get some more funny little witty lines between them, I call it a successful podcast war, podcast battle, whatever you want to say. If it goes any further and they start getting really disrespectful, I'd hate to see it, but I'm not gonna lie, I would be very entertained if they start talking that trash, because Joe know how to talk that trash, and Gille know how to talk that trash too. He a little bit more, just hit you straight up, while Joe is gonna give you this long soliloquy, passionate poem of why he angry. But either way, it's gonna be fun, and whether this is it or we get more and we get Joe with the white beater, either way it go, man, I'm all for it. I'm just a fan enjoying itself. So that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and getting this whack wisdom from me. I hope you tune in next week to get a little bit more. With that being said, please, if you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I'm dropping new content on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, please make sure to follow the podcast and leave a review on whatever platforms allow you to do that. With that being said, this is the WACCast podcast, and I am whacking off. It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me. It's the WACCast podcast. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.